delicious, easy cakes that you would make, because through this guy, yeah you can use your slow cooker. Now the recipe for this is an apple pecan cake. It is such a cinch to make, and you can grab the recipe free from my ebook. There's a few recipes in there that you can give a go of, and this one is great. So let's get going on it. And I just realised I need a chopping board. I didn't have a chopping board. We want to get our butter in, because we're going to treat this kind of like a real cake. I guess that's the thought, that if you're without an oven, or if you're away, so you can't do all these things, and you have a slow cooker and you want to make a cake, this one can be the real deal. And I'm literally going to start with creaming the butter that we usually do. So it calls for 140 grams. And I use unsalted butter, but you could, of course, if you prefer the taste, a little bit of salt, absolutely. And I'm going to do mine in the Thermomix. Maybe you have a hand one, like mixer that you'd like to use, or you've got a KitchenAid, whatever works there. I find with my Thermomix, like I don't put in that fancy whisk, I just do it this way. So I'm just going to break it up a little bit. That's always a bit better. And in it goes. And the next thing that we're going to cream it with is some sugar. And the great thing about this recipe, because I have made it so many times, and checked it with different sugars. Hey guys, if you can see me, say hi. Give me a little thumbs up. Is you can make it with maple, you can make it with honey. If you're using raw honey, no, you might even want to cut down less sugar than I'm calling for. But you can also use a granulated sugar. Now we need 1/3 of a cup, which is such a tiny amount for this. And the reason I do that is there's apples in this, and there's sultanas if they're your jam as well, right? So these things tend to, they're sugary, so you don't need loads of it, right? So we've got our sugar in, and one, we'll go ahead and I just want to beat that until it sort of goes pale in colour. I'm just going to do mine at 1:20, and while it's doing that, let's get our apples ready. I like to peel my apples. I find that it gives a nicer texture in the cake, but by all means, you can keep the skin on. These are gorgeous New Season Gala organic ones, so you can absolutely keep the skin on, but I'm just going to go ahead and peel them off. You could switch this out, and I noticed here in the Facebook group there's a few people that did my cake course last year. This is where the recipe comes from, and they're all saying how much they loved it. And I said, oh, did you ever make it with a different fruit? Peaches would be so good. Plums at the moment, pear, good switching them out. Like I keep the cinnamon with it. You could also do rhubarb, would be really, really yum. Any other thoughts? Let me know in the comments if you can think of another one that would be really yummy with it. But coming into winter, some beautiful apples, and these are just such a nice way to do it a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to put those in a bowl, because I think my little lady will quite like to eat them. In they go. Let's check on. That was good timing, wasn't it? The creamed butter, that's looking so much better. I'm actually going to do it though for another minute. That was only 1:20. I'm just using my spatula here, so you just want to get it all up and off there. There we go. Just like that, and let's go again. chop these apples. You're aiming for them. What did I say there in the recipe? I think I did say the thickness. Yeah, 1 sort of centimetre pieces. So not too thin, but also not too thick. A centimetre is quite thick for an apple, and the reason being is we're cooking this for longer, right? Because the temp of our slow cooker isn't as high as we get our ovens to. So low is typically about 130 or so, and high is about 150, which is a lot less, you know, than what you're cooking in a normal oven at. But it still is maintaining the heat, so it has to cook for longer in order to cook through. So I'm just conscious that apples, you know, they don't need a lot of cooking. So if you do it too thin, they're just going to turn to mush, and you'll lose your gorgeous texture of your cake. All right. Oh, yummy. Oh, they are so tart and delicious. I love it. Okay, let's get these out of the way, and then we're going to start just measuring in the rest of the ingredients. You could absolutely put the dry ingredients into a separate bowl. That's looking so much better, isn't it? It's a lovely pale colour. Or you can measure them straight in. Word of help with this, if you are putting in your pecans and if you're putting in your sultanas, if you want them not to be a big gluggy mess and you want them to be distributed evenly throughout your cake rather than all sitting at the bottom, you want to coat them in some flour. And so if you put it into a bowl first, that's what will help you be able to coat them in the flour. I'm actually not going to do sultanas today. Shock horror. But yeah, I'm just doing it a little bit different. 3 eggs in, and then we're going to have, I tend to put those in first, especially for the Thermomix, that then I can grab a softer liquid and turn it okay. Let's do the flour, because I'll do the milk at the end, otherwise the flour will stick to the glass container. So we're after 2 cups of white spelt. Now I use a lot of spelt. Why? Because it's still wheat, absolutely. But what it is it's a higher protein, and it has been less modified than our typical other wheats, right? So if you're looking for more of a whole food option, I find that because it's got a higher protein construct, it digests a lot better. It is slightly heavier in the baking, only slightly, and it has nearly the exact same taste. So it's a really good one that if you're trying to get a more variety into your diet, this can be a really good way to do it. In with our cup of milk, and the next bit we want to do is get some baking powder in there. So I'm calling for a teaspoon of baking powder. If you're like, oh, should I do more or less? Always go a little bit more. I find like it needs it in the slow cooker again because it's just taking so long to cook, and that will help lighten it and give it a little bit more buoyancy. In with some vanilla, and I love to add some cinnamon in with this recipe because we call for a teaspoon, by the way. It's just perfect pairing with apples and with the pecans and with the sultanas. I absolutely love it. You can also put in, I've said a cup of pecans. I'm actually down to the bottom of my container, so I don't really need to I might roughly chop these ones. You can switch out the nuts, you can leave the nuts out, but this with some gorgeous hazelnuts would be so amazing. You could even do them with some beautiful peanuts. Peanuts and apples are delicious. You think about, you know, a little knob, a little cut here of this dipped in peanut butter. That's my kids' favourite afternoon tea. So absolutely switch them out. You could even do seeds if you want to be putting a stash of this in the freezer for lunch boxes as well. All right, the apples don't go in, they're fancy pants, they're gonna sit on top. But there we go, we've got everything in. Let's just check. We've got our butter, we've got our sugar, we've got our eggs, we've got our milk, we've got our flour, baking powder, vanilla, sultanas, and pecans. All right, let's whack the lid on this and I'll just give it a little stir till it's all combined. Perfect. There it is. It's quite a runny liquid. It's definitely not a super thick, dense cake, which is just so yum. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. Now, let's talk about how we get this into the slow cooker. Running slow cooker, what you need to do there. So grab your bowl. I tend to line mine with parchment paper. Sorry about that. You could do old school greasing it with some butter and some flour. That would work really well, but I tend to just use some parchment paper. And so what you want to do here, scrunch it up. This is a really good way to get into the sides of your cooker. And I'm going to just put a little water on the backing of it. Again, it helps it stick to it. It helps it stick to the sides. You can absolutely use butter. But for me, then it's just, you have to clean the cooker a little bit more. I just don't do that, right? So, here we go. We've got that in, and you want to just get your edges perfect. Now this, when I say perfect, this is a rustic kind of cake, right? So, but if you wanted to, you could absolutely cut out the bottom and then line it around like you would a circle baked tin, but I've never found the need to do that. Right, let's pour in our cake mixture. Oh, yum, 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 yum. This looks so delicious. We should definitely taste it a little bit, shouldn't we? I love this one because it's not so sweet. Oh, so good. Yummo. And now I'm just flattening it up. Hey guys! Hello! See there, I'm just flattening him out so he's nice and perfect. One last taste. Oh, yeah, so good. You could also switch in and out. So say we were talking before about apples, could we do a different fruit, and we were saying that stone fruit would be such a great option. Sweet sour rhubarb idea that I had instead of apples, it would be lovely with something like cranberries or sliced apricots inside with that dried fruit as well. You could do figs and apple, dates and apple. Any of this, I just want any of Stacey's slow cooking recipes to be what have I got in the cupboard, in the fridge, how can I tweak it so that I don't need to leave, so I can use what I've got, those kind of things, right? So if you're looked at that recipe and you're like, oh, I don't have to get apples and you've got 50 plums, you know, hanging around, use those. What I'm doing here is I am just, I might get you in a bit closer. Do you mind if I pull you in here? You can see how this is looking. See there? I'm just making a pretty design. You don't have to do this at all. You might like to cut the apples into chunks, darling, and then get those, like stir it through it. That would also work. But I really love doing these on top, and you'll notice that as it cooks, the gorgeous flour will come up and around it, and it kind of just gives it a, yeah, it gives it a really good cuddle. I love it. Oh my gosh. How's the new cooker going? Sweets, I get a bake in it today. So I bought the Breville Fast Slow one. I've also got my Kmart one, and I'll show you what I'm cooking in the Kmart one in a second. Oh my God. The smell-o-vision should be mandatory with all of Stacey's videos because it is like, it's giving me absolute life in the kitchen today because dinner's already done. Yeah, it just feels so much easier the day. Let's shove all those in, and this one will be my last bit left there. What I'm going to do on top, this is not mandatory, it isn't in the recipe, but you might want to do it, is I'm going to just grab a little bit of my granulated sugar. See that there? And just go over the top. You might even want to go a little bit further and put a few little cubes of butter. It just means that they'll caramelize that much more. Let me put you back because I want you to see just like that. So tea towel over, lid on, and then I just pull that up. You don't need to pull it so it's hard, like I just sort of push it up. And then that goes into our cooker, just like this. What that's going to do is that it's going to help catch the condensation because there's going to be a whole heap of heat that is coming out from the cooker because the heat is at the bottom, that's where the element is, and so this will help catch any of the water there at the top. It's a really good hack. I do that whenever I'm cooking up muesli bars in there, I'll cook a pancake. In here, there's different cakes. These are just such a good way to do it. But I'm going to put this one on now. And we're at 12:20 here in Sydney. So to be honest, I'm probably going to put him on for high so that then he's ready for about 3 o'clock, which sounds like a really good time to eat a lovely piece with a cup of tea. I've got some gorgeous whipped cream in the fridge. I whipped the other day with some maple syrup. That would be great with it. Even some yogurt is so good. It freezes a dream, this cake, so you can send it for lunches as well. And I dare say there's a lot of nutrients in there. I would serve a piece of that with some yogurt and a smoothie for my kids for breakfast. I would. Would you? I don't know if you would, but I'm happy with that. Like, that has such a little amount of sugar and is full of wholesome, real food. So make sure you grab that recipe, and can you snap me a photo? Share it with us here in the Facebook group of you making it. I'd love to see how it goes. All right, see you guys soon. Bye.